Thank you. The gentlewoman from Massachusetts, Ms. Pressley, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chairman Powell consistently publicly called for greater fiscal aid. Testified, quote, the risk of overdoing it is less than the risk of underdoing it, end quote. I agree with you here, Chairman Powell. This is not a question of either or. We absolutely need further stimulus, but Congress has also provided the Fed with over $450 billion to support lending to cities, states, and small businesses. Now, in fact, in your March 23rd press release announcing these emergency lending facilities, you state 3 times that the Fed is, quote, committed to using its full range of tools and authorities, end quote. Yet in less than 24 hours, you gave up any resistance to Secretary Mnuchin's arbitrary demand to shutter these facilities by the end of the year, including the municipal liquidity and Main Street lending facilities. So I want to just build on my colleague, Representative Axney's line, and just to further sort of enumerate and unpack the sobering landscape likely before us. So yes or no, please. With the ongoing pandemic, do you expect the number of cities and states facing historic budget shortfalls to continue to rise? Chairman Powell, yes or no?
I don't really have a strong expectation on that, but that may be right.
I'll take that as a yes. Do you expect further state and municipal credit downgrades, making it more difficult for state and local governments to borrow? There have been 337 downgrades so far. Do you expect that to happen tomorrow, yes or no?
I think it's probable.
Okay. I'll take that as a yes. Are we facing an unprecedented wave of small business closures, yes or no?
I think that's uncertain. Unprecedented wave, I don't know that we know that.
Is the rescue of small businesses essential to any long-term economic recovery, yes or no?
Yes, it's important.
And would failure to provide relief to cities, states, and small businesses further widen existing inequalities, including, but not limited to, the racial and gender wealth gaps, yes or no?
I think it is. I'm sorry. Yes or no questions for these questions. I'm just going to answer you, which is that I think that it is important
reclaiming
that
time.
These groups get additional fiscal support. Thank you.
Please don't. I don't want you to filibuster here, okay? Because these issues are of great import, and part of your job is forecasting. So I'm leaning in on your expertise. So again, yes or no? Will this exacerbate racial and gender wealth gaps? Failure to provide relief to cities and states and small businesses.
I think there's a risk of that. Yes.
So, Chairman, the Federal Reserve lends at a ratio of 10 to 1. So if Congress set aside $400 billion to cover any potential losses, you can lend up to how much to these facilities? What's that amount?
Well, 10 times the amount of equity that's been pledged. So it would have been multiple trillion, 4 trillion or so. Of course, that borrowing happened. Borrowing happened. It just didn't happen in the facility.
So over $4 trillion. So you have a responsibility to support maximum employment, yet in the midst of a global pandemic, you have been complicit in eliminating over $4 trillion in potential relief to cities, states, and small businesses. And then adding insult to injury, the Secretary wants to move this money to Treasury's general fund, conveniently out of reach of the incoming administration and in direct violation of the CARES Act. I know there's been this sort of Jedi mind trick going on here, but we know what our intentions are and we can read, and the funds are supposed to be available for up to 5 years. So I'm not even sure why we've been going back and forth on that.